Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the April 24th Township Committee meeting.
Can you ask Vic to come up here? Ask Vic to come up. Vic?
Just keep going.
Megan, would you read the statement of presiding officer, please?
In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act of New Jersey, adequate notice of this meeting, specifically the time, date, and public call and information, were included in the meeting that was electronically sent to the Echo Sentinel Morris Daily Record and posted on the Township website. The agenda and public handouts for this meeting can be viewed online at www.longhillnj.gov. A public comment period will be held in the order it is listed on the meeting agenda.
Thank you, Megan. Would everybody please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Megan, please kindly take roll.
Committeeman Dorsey?
Here.
Committeeman Ray?
Present.
Committeeman Verleza?
Present.
Deputy Mayor Lavender?
Here.
Mayor Paserchia?
Present. So before we get started with the meeting, I'd like to read about former Police Lieutenant William Herlock Jr., who served Long Hill for 26 years and recently passed away. So I'll read the statement first, and then we'll have a moment of silence. Retired Police Lieutenant William Bill Herlock Jr., who served the township from 1966 to 1992, when Long Hill was called Passaic Township, passed away on Friday, April 12th. Mr. Herlock passed away at his Millington home with his family at his side after years of battling cancer. He was 82 years old. Our condolences go out to his family and friends. An April 16th post from the Long Hill Township Police Department read, Mr. Herlock was born in Philadelphia, August 22nd, 1941. In 1959, he and his wife, Anne Louise Paoli, graduated from Watchung Hills Regional High School, the second graduating class of the high school. He served 2 years in the Army during the Vietnam War, and after his honorable discharge, he joined the Passaic Township, now the Long Hill Township Police Department, in 1966. Public Safety Director Michael Peoples commented in a Monday, April 22nd email that Mr. Herlock commanded the Detective Bureau for most of his career and trained many new police officers and detectives who are now retired. Mike Peoples retired as the Long Hill Police Chief in 2007 after serving 25 years with the department. Mike Peoples said he served with Mr. Herlock for 10 years and that Mr. Herlock trained him as a detective. His support for the police department was unwavering. He never missed an opportunity to spend time with the officers and retired officers. He would have been proud to celebrate with us the police department 100-year anniversary later this year. We will all miss him. On May 18, 1978, Mr. Herlock risked his life to successfully talk a man out of committing suicide with a shotgun, both of them standing in the middle of the train trestle over the Passaic River in Millington. For his heroic actions, he received the police department's highest award, the Medal of Honor. He retired from the police department in 1992, having reached the rank of Detective Lieutenant in charge of the Criminal Investigation Division with 26 years of service. Former Long Hill Police Chief Robert Falzerano, who served as the department leader from 1986 to 2001, said that he was introduced to Mr. Herlock in 1974 when he joined the Passaic Police Department. He understood people, and I learned from Bill, police work is about compassion, empathy, and resolving conflicts without physical force. He was a member of the Police Benevolent Association 600, the New Jersey Honor Legion, and the American Legion Post 293 in Warren Township. Besides protecting and serving his community, he enjoyed playing golf and traveling around the country, according to his obituary posted on the Valley Memorial Funeral Home website. Mr. Falzerano reflected that he and Mr. Herlock became great friends who were golf partners and enjoyed their early spring golf trips to Myrtle Beach. After Bill retired, we would speak on the phone, and the conversation always moved to the experiences we had as police officers and the police department. The conversations were reminiscent of the time when police work was focused on the wants and needs of the town, department, and profession. Bill's sense of humor was refreshing. Bill's favorite saying was, "Life is not a dress rehearsal." He is survived by his wife of 58 years, Anne Louise, his son Bill Herlock, his two daughters, Laura Starr and Dorothy Rose, and her husband Scott Rose of Warren Township, his sister Joyce Koenig of Sterling, and 7 grandchildren, Kylie, Connor, Corey, Jake, Alyssa, Brittany, and Ryan, and 2 nieces, Karen and Susan. A graveside service was held on April 18th at Somerset Hills Memorial Park in Basking Ridge. I would like to thank the officers of the Long Hill Township Police Department for the support extended to the family of Lieutenant Herlock, Mr. Peoples said. Likewise, our appreciation to the Bernards Police Department, Bernards Township Police Department for their assistance during the funeral procession, as well as the Millington Fire Company for the display of the American flag on the top of their fire department ladder truck, as we honored Lieutenant Herlock's service to our community and his service to the United States as a military veteran. Falzerano added that although Herlock has passed, his commitment to law enforcement, Long Hill Township, and the Township Police Department will remain etched in my mind. Long Hill has lost a great ambassador that always had a positive word about the township, the police department, and the residents of Long Hill Township. Memorial contributions in honor of Mr. Herlock may be made to the Wounded Warrior Project at the website woundedwarriorproject.org. At this time, I please ask everybody for a moment of silence for former Police Lieutenant William Herlock, Jr. Thank you, everybody. All right, so now, if I could, just a happy moment for Long Hill Township. We have with us Mr. Ed Zindel. Lisa Scanlon is here, and I'll briefly say Mr. Zindel, in a statewide competition in this magazine, the New Jersey League of Municipalities, 564 towns statewide, and I don't know how many hundreds of photographs were submitted. And from those, Mr. Zindel, who I know is quite a photographer because he has displayed here in Township at the photography contest that was held a couple of years ago. And with that, I'm going to turn the meeting over to Lisa Scanlon, who will do a much better job than I just did.
Good evening. Thanks for giving us some time at the head of the meeting here. A couple months ago, I believe I was at a meeting, and we were talking a little bit about this Show Off Your City contest that the League of Municipalities runs each year. And we've entered before some different photos, and they've been very gracious with spotlighting us on some other things too. But this year, we had a lot of photography type programming and some contests, and I was allowed to send in 5 entries. Each town could send in up to 5 entries. So there were 5 residents whose photographs really displayed some of the pretty parts of Long Hill and showed us in such a great light that I decided to send 5 different residents' photographs in, and then got the happy news about mid-February that we were going to be featured as the winner of the contest this year for Ed Zintel's photograph in the Great Swamp. Ed and I met a couple years ago when he started entering some of our photography contests, and his photography continues to amaze me. He just shared with me some of his recent photos from the past week of owls and eagles and even a rattlesnake, which I was like, oh. But you know, as long as it has fur or feathers, I'm good with it. but still amazing that you could capture it. I'd be running the other way. But we have on the front page of the article, the front page of the magazine for this month is featured the photograph, and then inside is a very nice article spotlighting Long Hill Township, and it's really a nice spread on Ed. So with that, I'd love it if, Mayor, if you would come down and help present a plaque to Ed and his wife for this accomplishment. It's really a special thing. All right, so I'd love to invite Ed up, and Elaine as well. Come on up, his wife. Where's that? So you get to see it. This is actually the photograph that we had reprinted on metal and made into a nice plaque for you.
Thank you.
And I hope it's something that you'll just remember everything that you did here for us.
Of course I will.
Okay.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. Can you hold it up, because I can't.
I don't
There
want
you
to
go.
block Lisa. What about
Yeah.
Lisa?
I'm
No,
gonna-
no,
you know
no,
what?
it was just, it
Maybe I
was
should go
tilted
on
too
this
far
one.
back, so you couldn't
Okay.
actually see the
There you
picture.
go. Yeah.
Very nice.
Thank you. And congratulations. I just-
Great job.
Again.
And the Zindells live in Myersville. I just want to point that out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you and congratulations. And Lisa, I think we have a few copies of this in the library for those who might want to.
We do have it in the library, and I think I stuck 2 back in your mailbox.
Yeah.
Yep,
And we're going to
and we're
make.
gonna go on a
Yep.
road trip.
I think what everybody understands is.
I apologize, Ed. Why don't you,
No, no,
please,
no,
please, the
I
mic
just
is
wanted- I
yours.
just wanted to thank Lisa because I didn't even know she had entered the picture. If it wasn't for her, we wouldn't be here tonight.
Aw. Thank you, everybody. Have a
Thank
good
you.
meeting.
Thank you. Thank you. And Ed, I look forward to some more photographs at the next, is it annual or are we gonna, when are we gonna do that again, Lisa?
I'll do it every year.
There you go.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you. We have an Arbor Day proclamation. I don't believe, well, Scott, you're on the Shade Tree Commission, right?
I am.
Would you do the honors of reading the proclamation?
I'd be happy to.
Sorry, name it again.
Okay, so Arbor Day is April 26th, which is 2 days from now. And this is a proclamation from the Office of the Mayor, Township of Long Hill, whereas in 1872, the Nebraska Board of Agriculture established a special day to be set aside for the planting of trees, and whereas this holiday called Arbor Day was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska, and whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world, and whereas trees can be a solution to combating climate change by reducing the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, or cutting heating and cooling costs, or moderating the temperature, cleaning the air, producing life-giving oxygen, and providing habitat for wildlife, and whereas trees are a renewable resource giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products, and whereas trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community, and whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. Now, therefore, he, Guy Pacercia, the mayor of the Township of Long Hill, do hereby proclaim Friday, April 26, 2024 as Arbor Day. And he urges all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands. And further, Guy urges all citizens to plant trees to gladden the heart and promote the well-being of this and future generations. Dated this day, 24th of April, 2024. Thank you, Guy.
And it's,
Hold up the proclamation. Take your
Why
picture.
don't you can accept it as the liaison to Shade Tree. and
well,
just
in
stand
front of
right
the, in front of the flag.
There you go.
yeah.
Perfect. Ready? Where's the chair, Randy? Thank you. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Beautiful.
Thank you, Megan. That fit perfectly with the photography of Mr. Zendel, and anybody can take a look at this. For those who don't realize, 55% of Long Hill Township, more or less, is open space. A good portion of that, of course, is the Great Swamp, but we have many tracts of land throughout the township, including right across from Town Hall. It's about 80 acres across the street, and then 40 acres that winds its way over the railroad. So by all means, please take advantage of the outdoor space that Long Hill affords you. Item number 5, ordinance 534-24, first reading, introduction, an ordinance regulating temporary mobile retail food establishments, commonly known as food trucks, and supplementing and amending Chapter 4 of the Township Code entitled General Licensing. Jack, did you want to give a brief explanation here?
Sure, Mayor. Over the last several years, we've had a number of food trucks come into town, and the Township Committee just felt that we ought to regulate them to some extent. So what this requires is that food truck operators apply for a permit. They're allowed to operate 3 nights a week. And then there's some requirements for inspections, fire inspections and health inspections. So it's just to get some control over the food trucks in town. And that's basically it. Requires insurance and indemnity agreement.
Pretty straightforward.
Yes,
Actually, it's comparable to what other towns.
a lot of other towns have ordinances. A lot of towns prohibit them, some regulate them, and this is kind of a middle ground.
And I happened to read something, somebody had commented, why is the town charging a permit fee? That's standard practice.
Every application for a license involves clerical costs in town hall, so it's just to cover costs.
So, comments or questions from the township committee? Matt, Scott, Brendan?
No.
All right, this is first reading. The follow-up meeting will be May 22nd, so the public agenda meeting will be May 22nd, 2024. Megan, does that sound right?
Yes.
All right. Can I have a motion to approve ordinance 534-24?
Second.
Committeeman Dorsey?
Yes.
Committeeman Ray?
Yes.
Committeeman Verleza?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Lavender?
Yes.
Mayor Paserchia?
Yes. And sir, just to give a heads up, each of the ordinances are first reading introduction this evening. So ordinance 535-24, an ordinance concerning special events and supplementing and amending Chapter 4 of the Township Code entitled General Licensing. Any comments or questions from the Township Committee?
Jack, maybe.
Yeah, unlike the food truck ordinance, this, which is a totally new ordinance, this is cleaning up an ordinance that's been in place for decades. What it does is it clarifies the definition of special event, and it changes many of the application and licensing procedures to fit in with what's been done in practice for many years. So that was the main purpose, to clean it up, to clarify it, and to make it consistent with what the practice has been.
Thank you, Jack. Township Committee?
So I notice here it says any event sponsored by the township shall not be considered a special event. So these are for special events outside of whatever events the town might.
That's correct.
And so our most recent street fair, was that a special event?
Chamber of Commerce.
Yes, because that's the Chamber of Commerce as opposed
it.
to the
Okay.
township.
So Jack, what would you define the township as? I mean, would it be fire department type things, or is it part of the
National night
township,
out,
or
something like that?
Yeah,
would that? So we wouldn't need to get one?
I defer to Megan to some extent, but I think fire department is a quasi-municipal
Right.
entity.
Right.
But
So if the fire department is doing something with a social affair permit, wouldn't they have to, or would they just have to apply for the social affair permit at that point in time?
that's up to the township committee. Do you want to have the fire department and the first aid squad, I guess, too, would be the only two we're talking about.
I think we should be a little bit more specific in the language, the township or quasi-governmental entities such as,
What,
I mean, do you agree, Brendan?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, just as long as it was clear, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
and we put such as the fire companies and the
Right.
first aid squad. Can you move to amend?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to amend that, where it says any event sponsored by the township shall not be considered a special event, to include quasi-governmental bodies such as the fire companies and first aid and OEM. And CERT, is CERT part of that?
Well, I agree with you, any quasi-governmental
Right.
agency such as the fire department.
Such as.
That's
Yeah.
probably good enough,
Yeah,
such
yeah.
as the fire department.
Right,
Fire companies, I probably should say.
yes.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
All right, Megan, please?
Committeeman Dorsey?
Yes.
Committeeman Ray?
Yes.
Committeeman Verleza?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Lavender?
Yes.
Mayor Paserchia?
Yes, and again, Wednesday, May 22nd for the public hearing.
Well, so we just amended the wording to the draft. Are we going to introduce it?
Yeah,
we
we
did
need to
both.
introduce it as revised.
Oh, okay. So somebody can have a motion to introduce as it revised then?
So moved.
Second?
Second?
Committeeman Dorsey?
Yes.
Committeeman Ray?
Yes.
Committeeman Verleza?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Lavender?
Yes.
Mayor Paserchia?
Yes. Ordinance 536, first reading, introduction, and ordinance concerning uniform fire codes and amending Chapter 17 of the Township Code entitled Fire Prevention. Jack?
This just amends some of the fees at the recommendation of the fire official.
Comments from the Township Committee? Motion to approve ordinance 536-24.
So moved?
Second.
Committeeman Dorsey?
Yes.
Committeeman Ray?
Yes.
Committeeman Verleza?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Lavender?
Yes.
Mayor Paserchia?
Yes. Public hearing, May 22nd, 2024. Ordinance 537-24, first reading, introduction, and ordinance concerning commercial canvassers, solicitors, and peddlers, and amending Section 4-3 of the Township Code. Jack, batter up.
This just changes the fee.
Okay, comments, questions from the Township Committee?
So we just set, instead, changes the fee to what, from $20 to whatever we want?
It was set by resolution, so you guys at the last meeting had revised the fee schedule, and just to make it consistent with some of our other ordinances, you're just gonna set it by resolution. So at the reorg every year, or anytime you do the
Oh.
fee schedule, you're just updating it to reflect, so it's not,
It's a much cleaner way to do it. We don't have to
yeah.
go through two readings and everything.
So I have questions. How are we defining commercial canvassers, solicitors, and peddlers?
Based on U.S. Supreme Court cases, we're basically just talking about commercial peddlers who go from door to door selling goods, merchandise, or
So
services.
not volunteer organizations
No,
or religious groups
right,
or
That's all in
political
the
candidates?
established-
right, that's correct.
That's all in the established ordinance.
Okay.
Right. The only thing we're changing is we're changing the fee from being in the ordinance to being set by resolution.
What
Got it.
about the panhandlers that sometime would pop up at ShopRite? Like, I'm not talking about the kids selling Girl Scout cookies, but,
Yeah, they're not really covered by this because it's going door to door.
oh, okay.
What about driveway pavers who go around knocking at doors?
Yeah, that would be selling a service, so yes, they would be covered.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments? Looking for a motion.
So moved.
Second?
Megan?
Committeeman Dorsey?
Yes.
Committeeman Ray?
Yes.
Committeeman Verleza?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Lavender?
Yes.
Mayor Paserchia?
Yes. Public hearing, May 22nd. Ordinance 538-24, first reading introduction, and ordinance abolishing the Communications Advisory Committee and repealing Section 2-38 of the Township Code. Jack?
Yes, we're really updating it. We're abolishing the Communications Committee, but we're creating by resolution this evening 2 new committees, the Audio-Visual Committee, which will basically cover courtroom audio-visual, and the second one is called the,
Digital Engagement
yeah.
Technology Advisory
right,
Committee.
that's what I couldn't
So
remember.
I can explain
I
this.
was
Yeah,
just going
please
to
do.
say,
Scott's
Scott,
better equipped than I.
So we talked at length about this at the last meeting, but essentially what we're doing is taking the activities of what used to be the CAC Committee, Communication Advisory Committee, and splitting those up into two different activities. One is advising us on the technology that's used in the courtroom, that, you know, the microphones, the PA, all the technology that gets us out to LHTV, Zoom, and the web. And then we have the Digital Engagement Technology Committee, which will be focused on such things as the website, social media, any apps that are used for citizen services, and any related technology or supporting infrastructure underneath that would work with that. So it's more of an IT kind of function.
Any questions or comments from members of the Township Committee? Megan?
I make a motion to repeal Section 2.38 of the Township Code, which is an ordinance abolishing the Communication Advisory Committee.
Second.
Now, Megan.
Committeeman Dorsey?
It'll be sad to see the CAC go, but I will vote yes.
Committeeman Ray?
Yes.
Committeeman Verleza?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Lavender?
Yes.
Mayor Paserchia?
You don't often hear any editorializing or whatever from Matt, so that was a joy. May 22nd is the public hearing. Ordinance 539-24, first reading introduction. Ordinance of the Township Council of the Township of Long Hill, County of Morris, approving the application for a long-term tax exemption and authorizing the execution of a financial agreement with 1449 Valley Road Urban Renewal LLC for those, well, I'll let Jack explain, but this is what is commonly known as Lounsbury.
It's Lounsbury Meadow. Lounsbury has never paid taxes because it's been 100% affordable senior handicapped development. Originally, it was built by and operated by the township. Over time, the Township Committee delegated those duties to a board of trustees who run it independently. Now they need money in order to make improvements and upkeep to the facility. And in order to do that, they're applying for tax credits. In order to do that, they have to create a limited partnership with an investor who invests the money in return for the tax credits. So this pilot includes payment of 0 taxes, which just continues the practice for the last 30 years or however long Lounsbury's been here. Lounsbury counts towards our affordable housing obligation. In every round, starting with round 1, we've gotten credits for Lounsbury. As recently as round 3, I think we got 14 credits because there's a cap on the number of senior units that you can have, and there are 32 units carried over still into the future. I'm not sure exactly how many of those will count towards round 4, but a number of them will, and if there are any excess, they will go into the future. In 2016, we entered into an agreement with the Lounsbury Board which imposed affordability controls in perpetuity. So it will always be an affordable project, and it's essentially a township project, even though it's run independently now.
Thank you, Jack. And in a nutshell, it doesn't cost taxpayers anything because this has been the arrangement for 30 years.
It's really a technical requirement for them to get the tax credits, but it doesn't change anything.
And the benefit to the community is that we, as you pointed out, will have some credits up to 32 to be applied to our 2025 affordable housing obligation, which we know is going to be roughly in the area of 100 units.
That's correct. And the new legislation, as you know, is just passed, or just enacted, so, you know, we're talking about next year.
Yeah, so there's no surprise. We know our affordable obligation
We have a good idea.
in '25 is going to be somewhere in the area of 100 units, that is. Okay, any comments, questions from the Township Committee? Now I'll look for a motion. Oh, I'm sorry,
Jack,
Matt,
this
go
go
ahead.
into perpetuity, or is just?
No, it's a 30-year pilot
Oh,
agreement,
okay.
which is the lifespan of the tax credits.
Okay.
If no other comments or questions, looking for a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Committeeman Dorsey?
Yes.
Committeeman Ray?
I'm going to have to recuse myself from this, but my wife's on the Lounsbury board.
Committeeman Verleza?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Lavender?
Yes.
Mayor Paserchio?
Yes, and Megan thought she was going to trick me on this one, but the public hearing for ordinance 539-24 will be May 8th.
Trying to trick.
Okay, item number 6 on the agenda, consent agenda resolutions. Are there any resolutions that the committee would like to pull for further conversation? Or they may have to recuse themselves?
Yeah, I'm going to recuse myself from 24-131, 24-132, and 24-136.
136. Any others? Seeing none, looking for a motion to approve 24-128 through 24-136 with the recusals that Committeeman Ray just outlined.
So moved.
Second.
Committeeman Dorsey?
Yes.
Committeeman Ray?
Yes.
Committeeman Verleza?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Lavender?
Yes.
Mayor Paserchio?
Yes. So now, item number 7, liaison reports. I'll start with Mr. Veleza.
Are we ready?
Are you?
I am. We've got slides 1 through 3 teed up.
What am I doing? There we go.
Monday, April 22nd was Earth Day. But in recreation, we always like to remind everyone that every day is Earth Day. This year on Monday, the Parks and Recreation Department met the students from Central School Community Helpers Group and their teachers, Mrs. DiBiase and Miss Amet at Sterling Lake. With rakes and gloved hands, this group scoured the Sterling Lake property and cleaned up garbage and debris. Many thank yous to this group for helping with so many parks and recreation events. Upcoming Red Cross class. Red Cross CPR and AED class on Friday, 5/10 from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. There is still room in the class, but register now on Community Pass. We will not be hosting another class until fall. $32 per person for the class, and it's for a 2-year certificate. The Long Hill PBA 322 held its annual fishing derby at Sterling Lake Fishing Pond on Saturday, 4/20 from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. Despite the gloomy start to the day, the fish were still biting. Lots of folks got to enjoy a great family event hosted by the PBA. Have you already applied for a summer job with us? Remember, email is our primary mode of communication, so make sure you check it. Also, check the Employment and Parks and Recreation tab on the website for blanket updates on the process and a frequently asked questions sheet. Interviews are in progress, and we've begun the hiring process. Also, we are still looking for a couple of key adult supervisory positions. Come join us for some fun this summer. All right, moving right along to slides 7 through 9. Registration started for summer camps in Sterling Lake on 4/1. Remember to register by 5/31. Mark your calendars for our Memorial Day parade and observance on Monday, May 27th at 9:30 a.m. Local community groups looking to join in the parade, please contact the Parks and Recreation Department. Mark your calendars for the Sterling Lake Dance, Friday, June 7th, 7:30 p.m. through 9:30 p.m. Weather dependent. Long Hill residents in grades 5 through 7, $5 entrance fee at the gate. Be sure to fill out the permission slip on the website and bring it with you to the dance. While you have those calendars out, make sure to mark down the dates for our Dog Days of Summer concert series. Hopefully something for everyone's tastes. We start off on June 21st, the first day of summer, with Parrot Beach, which is a Jimmy Buffett tribute band, at Sterling Lake at 7 p.m. And always remember that all concerts are free. All right. Interested in volunteering in the community and having some fun while doing it? Please consider joining the Recreation Advisory Committee. Please contact us in Recreation if you're interested in joining us. And that concludes my liaison report. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Commissioner Sylvester. Brendan?
No report.
Yeah, that's a tough act to follow.
Yeah, even if I had a report, I would not be given it after
Recuse your
that.
report.
Yes, a couple things. One, congratulations to Sergeant Bruschetta and the Long Hill Police Department. They won the very hotly contested chili cook-off during the street fair on Sunday. Next, there is a new video I saw. It's a expose interview with Al Gallo of the DPW with all the new recycling programs, or the old ones. I believe it's done with the woman that works the library. It's on YouTube. It's about 8 minutes, but it's actually very informative. She asks Al questions about the recycling in town and different and ways people can recycle, and it's very informative for people who don't know all the programs we have. And that's a reminder, it is Earth Week. We have a ton of recycling programs. The Styrofoam's been doing great. The aluminum, again, bring your aluminum down to the DPW. It's the cage is full. I'm sure Jeff Wanamaker will be taking it over to the scrapyard to get money for St. Barnabas, and we can start refilling it again. So we also, don't forget, we can recycle the motor oil. So if you have any used motor oil, if you're doing your home repairs, please bring it down, because we recycle and reuse it again. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Scott?
Sure. Okay. So first off, on Monday, April 15th, I attended the Environmental Commission meeting along with Don Richardson, who is the chairman of the Planning Board. Our purpose for being there was to talk to them about the elements of the master plan that they might have an interest or responsibility in. So we had a good conversation there. One of the things that's interesting that they're going to be working on is a natural resource inventory, which is something that we haven't updated in a while. And so that, comes along the lines of, what we have in town that's worth cherishing and preserving. We talked to them a lot about the sewer treatment plant and the progress that was going there, directed them back to the presentation that Mr. Midthassel made when he was in. They appreciated that. And, we talked a little bit also about tightening up the process for including them more in the planning board process in terms of, creating a flow chart which gets them things they need to review on a timely basis. So that was April 15th. And then, again, this Monday, April 22nd, Don Richardson and I attended the Shade Tree Commission meeting to do the same thing. And so we ran through the checklist of items in the new master plan that had relevance to the activities of the Shade Tree Commission, and everyone was very pleased because they're already doing most everything that is listed in there. They're so far ahead of the game. It's very gratifying. So that was good. But anyway, these are outreaches that we're going to do on a revolving basis with members of the planning board, just to encourage and foster communication between the different groups, so we're aware of what each body is doing, planning board, township committee, the commissions, et cetera. And then yesterday, Tuesday, April 23rd, was the planning board meeting. Of note in that, Tom Jones, who I see here today, took the group through the action plan for updating the ordinances. And what he's doing right now is creating basically a list, a spreadsheet of candidate ordinances that'll need to be updated according to the new master plan. And it's going to be a kind of a complex process because some of these are going to be fairly easy to do, and some of them may be kind of complex and require notices out to the public, et cetera. And so, you know, we talked about what the process was for creating that list, and also what the timeline would be for working those through the process. And Liz Lehaney took us through a flow chart which talked about, you know, if the planning board drafts a suggested ordinance, it comes to the township committee, it goes through our first reading, second reading with the appropriate weights. At one point in the middle of that, it goes back to the planning board if there's any changes we made. And, you know, basically Tom's got a really good process for calculating how many of these can we clean up, for instance, before the end of the year, before we go into the next, you know, reorg and calendar year. So, you know, it's unknown right now how many changes there will be. We know there's 2 definite that are easy, but there could be 20 of them, there could be 30 of them, and probably going to take a couple of years to go through this. But the good news is that, you know, we have a process, and the process is initiated, and, you know, Tom is just doing a tremendous job as vice chairman, you know, being the general on this process. So anyway, that was the planning board meeting. That's it. It's not as exciting as Vic's, but it means something.
Well, thank you, and thank you, Tom. I mean, as we've discussed many times in the past, the master plan is a critical document. It's always been a critical document, but more so now with the upgrades to the sewer system and the Gateway project, which will, at some point, certainly within the next 10, 12 years, introduce 1C trips into Manhattan from Wall Hill Township, where we have 3 train stations. So the master plan is critical. The updates to those ordinances are critical as well. So thank you. All right, so we have a proclamation. It's a little bit late only because of the schedule of our township committee meetings, but Volunteer Week. Yeah. Oh, so what will the dates be?
It's in the second page.
Yeah, but that's a long document. And I don't think anybody wants to hear me read.
Second page.
21, 27. Okay, so we're not late. April 21 through April 27, 2024 is Volunteer Week, and I'll read the proclamation. Whereas National Volunteer Week has been celebrated since 1974, and whereas New Jersey's 1.5 million volunteers provide more than 170 million hours of service annually, whereas our volunteers make a lasting difference as they mentor and tutor students, serve the elderly and people with disabilities, prepare and distribute food to the needy, protect and beautify the environment, sustain our arts, remember our history, and preserve our cultural institutions. Whereas individuals, groups, organizations mobilize others during natural disasters and times of crisis to provide much-needed support from recovery to revitalization, thus playing a critical role in the life and well-being of our residents and communities. And whereas these volunteers represent all facets of Garden State family, schools and colleges, business, community, faith-based organizations, senior citizens groups, and nonprofit agencies of all types. Sorry about that. National Volunteer Week is an opportunity to express our appreciation to the thousands of New Jersey citizens who provide these services. And special shout out, of course, to the volunteers here in Long Hill Township. We know we have more than 300 in organizations that are involved with the township, but there are way more than that. We have the Boy Scouts, et cetera, Girl Scouts, and other organizations out there, and our church organizations and private individuals that volunteer their time. You don't read about them on Facebook, you don't typically read about them in the newspaper, et cetera, but they're doing a critical job, and we thank each and every one of them. In that note, I want to do a special shout out to CERT in recognition of Volunteer Week. I'll give you some numbers. 2023, the members logged over 1,000 community service hours. 2024, they've already been involved in helping with 12 events. A couple of the highlights: the February Long Hill Police Department Heroes Race, which was phenomenally successful, and I believe it's going to be continued in years going forward. They helped the Long Hill Police Manning Post at active intersections. The annual street fair, and I guess I could speak to the street fair. Thank you to the Chamber of Commerce. Thank you to Dennis Sandow. Dennis was at the last meeting, and he said he could not guarantee that we would not have any rain because something to do with the total eclipse. I didn't follow that logic, but there was no rain. So Dennis, thank you. Your streak is intact, although it was a little chilly. Year-round 12 baskets. Food Pantry CERT provides manpower and teams up with local churches and other community volunteers to staff the pantry. And CERT volunteers run and pick up food in Hillside from our partner agency, Community Food Bank of New Jersey, for distribution at our local pantry. CERT program, 18 years in counting in service to our community for planned community events and emergency activations, ranging from local emergencies to federally declared disasters. Congratulations, 2026 will be their 20th anniversary. And speaking of anniversaries, a statement from our Long Hill Township Police 100th Anniversary Committee. Greetings, business owners of Long Hill Township. It is with great pride to announce the 100th anniversary of the Long Hill Township Police Department. Established in 1924, the Long Hill Township Police Department has been proudly serving the residents of Long Hill Township with courage and integrity for 100 years. The police department could not have reached this anniversary without the continued support of our community. As such, we would like to cordially invite the community to help us commemorate this very special centennial anniversary milestone. The Long Hill Township Police 100th Anniversary Committee has been planning a series of events throughout the year, culminating with the grand celebration on October 5th, 2024. Mark your calendars. This grand celebration will include a Main Avenue parade, followed by a very special community-wide celebration at Matthew Cantor Park. We have created a tiered sponsorship program for donations, we being the police department, to not only offset the cost of the event, but to strengthen the relationships between the police department, residents, and businesses. There's an I don't know if we're gonna put the, are we able to put the, no, because it's a sponsorship. Somehow we'll get it out to you, maybe I'll get it on Facebook. The police are gonna do it on their own? All right, so the police will do that. Save the date, celebrate 100 years. As always, we thank the community for their continued support. We proudly serve you. Follow the Long Hill Township Police Department social media for updates and event information. In that vein, I want to thank Director Al Gallo and his team from the DPW department. It is my understanding, I didn't have the opportunity yet to say it, but our blue line is back in place. And this time, I believe it goes from Valley all the way to the tracks, the railroad tracks. Does that sound right, Al? Right. And so I see two of our finest here, and I want to thank you. And that's the least we can do and recognize the job you do protecting us. And please, by all means, God bless and protect yourselves as well. You will always have the support of this committee and of this community. You guys and gals are the best. And the PBA Fishing Derby, which I think was already mentioned, that was a great success. So thank you for doing that again. What year was that? How many? 30 years. It's a lot of anniversaries. A lot of anniversaries. Okay. You thought I was gonna forget you.
Not at all.
The administrators report.
Thank you, Mayor. Just wanted to continue with the police 100th anniversary. They presented over the past weekend their celebration 100th anniversary police vehicle. It was at the fishing derby and the street fair. So and it looks terrific. I do want to give out a email if you want more information regarding the 100th anniversary celebration, and if you have any questions regarding committee and donations, contact LHPD 100th@gmail.com. You could send an email and they'll reply to you with any questions you may have and so forth. And they will be going around to various businesses and so forth and reaching out to the general public. My report, last meeting, somebody was questioning information about the Eberly property. The project was awarded for demolition on November 7th, 2023. Total cost of the demolition was $39,875. Under the bid threshold, there were no bids awarded, so we awarded a move forward to do the project, and that has been completed and finished. AT&T will begin the process of replacement of outdated equipment on the township's cell tower. They were the successful bidder of the cell tower last year. The equipment will be replaced with in-kind equipment and will not extend the height of the current antenna, so it will not impact or have any effect on the current agreement that we have. They will need, obviously, a construction permit, so they're in the process of filing for that. They have supplied the engineer specifications as outlined in the agreement. Our engineer reviewed them and will review the project as it's ongoing and complete to make sure everything complied with their proposal. The beautification committee are selling rain barrels and compost kits. The deadline is May 4th, 2024, so that's the end of next week. So if you want to get them, they were very successful last year. Get on the website and order them.
Randy, can you just remind everybody where that cell phone tower is?
The cell phone tower is at the Public Works location.
Thank you.
Public Works monthly report. The mayor already mentioned the painting of the blue line down Main Avenue. They have used 8 tons of asphalt used to fix potholes and blacktop curving. They to continue with recycling. They spent 4 days of styrofoam processing, 2 days of storm damage cleanup. They planted a tree at Town Hall in the East parking lot to the building for Arbor Day. They have cleaned out year-to-date 525 basins out of 1,300 since January. They have done some work over at the police department that included painting, and they'll be doing some work on the outside this week and into next week. And of course, it's that time of the year where lawn maintenance and township-owned properties is a regular weekly process. And they're doing some outdoor lighting project at the municipal building with the pathway lights and the parking lot lights. They'll be planting the shade tree challenge grants this week and early next week, so there will be 9 trees in total. And with that, Mayor, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Randy. And there was one statement I forgot to make. So last night, there was the inaugural meeting of a Watchung Hills Shared Services Regionalization Study. This is a study, I want to be clear, so before anybody starts filling in blanks that don't exist, this is an advisory committee meeting that is comprised of each of the school boards and someone or maybe a couple of folks from each of the elected bodies from Watchung, Warren, and Long Hill Township and Greenbrook. and of course, Watchung Hills Regional School Board. So this is a statement, we'll be the first one to actually read this statement, but this statement will be read at each of the school board meetings, and it will be read at each of the elected body meetings going forward. There will be a meeting, cut to the chase, a Zoom session meeting open to the public on May 20th at 7 p.m., but I'll read the full statement. With full funding from the state of New Jersey, a highly experienced Rowan University team led by former Warren Township Education member Kathleen Haliwa will be conducting a shared services regionalization study, focus on the word study, covering the Watchung Hills Regional, Watchung Borough, Warren Township, Long Hill Township, and Greenbrook Township school districts. The Watchung Hills Regional and Watchung Borough school districts applied for the $135,000 grant, which covers the entire study, under the state's School Regionalization Efficiency Program, which funds the full cost of studies with no cost to school districts or property taxpayers. The study will be conducted over the next year with input from an advisory committee. We are represented on that committee, as are both of our school boards, the high school and K-8. The study will be conducted over the next year with input from that advisory committee that includes representatives from all 5 school boards, Watchung Hills Regional, Watchung, Warren, Township, Long Hill, and Greenbrook, along with school administrators and municipal officials. The study will analyze educational programs for students from preschool through high school within the 5 districts, including curriculum coordination, special education programming, and transportation costs. Provide a demographic analysis of future enrollment for the 5 districts, forecast state aid based on those enrollment projections, and evaluate future budget challenges. Based on this analysis, the study will provide recommendations for educational enhancements and potential cost savings through various options, ranging from expansion of shared services in specific areas to full pre-K-12 regionalization. The Rowan School Regionalization Institute team includes Haliwa, a Warren resident who previously served as Senior Manager of Field Services for the New Jersey School Boards Association, former State Education Commissioner Lucille Davey, G. Kennedy Green, former President of the New Jersey Association of School Administrators, Mark Magyar, a principal author of the 2022 School Regionalization Legislation, and school finance consultant Brian Felkowski. There will be ongoing opportunities for the public, valuable community involvement through the study process, beginning with an informational Zoom session on Monday, May 20th at 7 p.m. Meeting recording will be posted on the district websites. Following the session, registration information will be forthcoming. Megan, can I be so kind? I would like this letter posted prominently on our website as soon as possible. Again, study. It is a study, and the public will be engaged throughout. And you will be represented in this advisory committee by each of the school boards and by somebody, usually me or Scott will be attending, maybe both, all meetings going forward. I mean, I'll ask, does anybody have any questions or comments? Because this was something that came pretty shortly over the last week or so. And we were invited to attend, and I was pleased.
No,
to-
it's nice that, you know, not only including all the school boards, but the governing bodies of the towns themselves, and that's a great motion.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, it's something that came up and you saw that, yeah, I think there's a little bit of confusion as to what the township committee is responsible for, at least from a budget perspective, and what the school boards are responsible for from a budget perspective. So I think it's really helpful that we will have some dialogue, not just with our own school boards, but school boards from each of the other towns.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And to that end, you know, talking about budgets and transparency about it, as you're well aware, similar to last year when we did our budget presentation in the courtroom here, and we'll be doing that again, the same kind of thing. And we've had Watchung Hills Board of Ed come in and present last meeting. Just got in touch with George Alexis. The Long Hill boards will come in tentatively that first meeting in June here. We're also working with the county to come in to explain what they're spending our money on. And I think the library board as well, right? The library commission.
Yeah, I mean, the library board has always been very forthcoming with their time. They do a phenomenal job, and I would love for them to come.
And some people are asking, well, why are you guys doing that? These are all separate bodies. Well, the thing is, though, is we collect the tax dollars in one tax bill. Randy puts it all together, and that pie is divvied up between your municipal taxes, which pay for citizen services, the schools, the county roads, the library, et cetera, right? And so that's why we're inviting people in to present here, so we can kind of knit together a cohesive picture and folks can understand how that money's being collected, how it's being spent, and what we're doing to improve things.
Thank you, Scott. That's spot on. Okay, discussion. Let's do open space committee first. I don't know what are we discussing with open space? Is that you, Vic?
That was a continuation off of previous meetings where you guys were going to revise the open space committee.
Where we would separate it into trails and.
Yeah, I don't know that we're ready for that.
Okay, we
We
So let's
just,
carry that.
we just split the atom with the CAC committee, so, I mean, there's just so much physics you can do in one meeting.
We need nuclear fusion, which would be a limitless supply of clean energy, so Scott.
We have a limitless supply of many things around here.
Okay. This sounds like something for Randy. Budget and capital budget requests?
Yes, all of you have a copy of where we are with the current budget process. This is not an introduction tonight, but just a work session. With the original request, it came in, budget request came in at just under 17.5 million. The budget is down to 17.112. That is about a 2.2% increase over budget from last year. So what does that relate to as far as the tax rates and tax increases? It's a 2.52% tax rate increase. It is currently a 5.2% tax increase. So a lot of people don't understand the difference between tax rate and tax increase. Tax increase is the actual amount of taxation that you're raising from one year to the next year. The tax rate is much lower because we had an increase in assessed values. So with that your tax rate is going to go up less than your actual taxes. Why the reason for the tax increase? The revenues from the state have been stagnant, so we're trying to fight with that. We're trying to fight with inflationary numbers. We had a large increase in one of the pensions. We had large increases, and this is not just Long Hill Township. So I should make that perfectly clear. Municipalities have seen good increases in workers' compensation insurance and the regular liability insurance. Health insurance is reasonable this year, but I bring this before you because I'd like to find out where the committee as a whole would like to see us introduce this budget at. I can tell you, there was an article out that said that the county has had a flat tax rate for the 5th year in a row. That constituted a 5.5% tax increase from last year to this year. So, if that's, and you heard the regional school is having about, I believe they said a 2.5% tax increase, and which I think is a very good effort with their budget under the extraordinary inflation rates that we've seen. So that's where we're at right now. So I'd like to just take a quick view. I could certainly sit down with any committee member that wishes to go into the greater detail. As the deputy mayor said, we will have a presentation with, when we probably introduce the budget, I would think. And then we could summarize it again at the public hearing. This way people understand where the increases are and so forth, so on. But any,
So, Ray,
So,
go ahead.
Randy, what's the municipal portion, or what are we looking at for the municipal portion of the taxes?
that's all we're looking at right here.
Yeah, so that number is?
It's a 5.2% tax increase over last year.
Right.
Okay, and again, this is a working document right
Sure.
now.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
I just wanted some guidance from the township committee of where you'd like to see this operate. Now, again, I will say, we all know about the 2% tax cap. This is within the 2% tax cap. I know it's a 5.2% increase. So, again, as I've said in many, many times, don't let a 2% tax cap fool you. There are exceptions to the tax cap. There are cap banks, and there's also an appropriations cap of 3.5%, where we're within that cap
Yeah,
with no
yeah.
problem. So, I'm not advocating for a 5.2% tax increase. I'm a property owner also. I understand taxes, I understand inflation, and it's a tough time right now with inflation and everything else, so.
Yeah, so my response is going to be this: we have work to do. We're in a good position. When I was first elected 15 years ago, I believe the surplus was somewhere in the area of $600,000. What's the surplus today, Randy?
3.2 million.
So there's 3.2 million in surplus from 600,000 or whatever it was 15 years ago, number one. Number two, I believe there's still some surplus regarding the sewer cell.
Yeah, the item is called sale of municipal assets, and there's about $2 billion in that. We haven't used any of that as of yet.
And you mentioned something called the cap bank, which is a fraudulently named thing. There's no such thing. There's no money in this cap
Right.
bank. And the last 15 years, we have used exactly nothing from the cap bank, and that's our goal. Our goal is still 2% or below actual tax increase. And I think I speak for everybody, to be honest with you. We're all taxpayers too.
So Randy, what was the effective tax increase last year? 2022 to 23.
I want to say, I believe it was 1.6%.
Okay, so 1.6% last year, now we're saying 5% this year. And a lot of what's driving that are inflation on goods and services and supplies and things like that, cost of labor, right? Fuel, salaries, benefits, et cetera, all of which kind of track CPI to some degree. CPI from January 23 to January 24 is like 3.5%. But if I go back 2 years, it's 9% plus. And so, I think so far we've done pretty good. Like I said, we have a lot of work that we have to do here. Me personally, I would think that the bar that we should aim for would be the inflationary increase year to year as a starting point, and then see if we can do better from there. And I don't know where we have to tighten our belt or what we have to forego if we do need to, but, we've got work to do. I mean, Brendan, do you agree?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think it's, and one of the things, Randy, I'll take you up on your offer to go through the budget. I gave it a look, and I thought it was. I don't know. There's a lot of meat there to cut, a lot of fat to cut in that budget, but I'd be interested to hear your ideas.
And educate us, where are the heavy hitters in here?
As far as increases,
Yeah.
the police pension went up 100 grand. The insurances are the other heavy increases.
I think maybe what we do is that we go through this spreadsheet and put a threshold against the increases so we can kind of filter them out and focus
Sure.
on them.
Yep.
Yeah, the general insurance went up 30,000. Workers' comp went up 36,000. Health insurance, like I said, we got a, actually, we did well on that. That's only a $10,000 increase.
What's the total budget for this year? Just so that-
17,
122.
122.
So everybody can figure out what 2% is, 3% is, et cetera. We have in the past, and to Brendan's point, we've met on a Saturday morning where each of us could be present as opposed to just two members from a finance committee. I would posit that it would be nice to at least have the opportunity for all of us to attend. If only 2 or 3 want,
Yeah.
that's fine. Randy, would you be able to arrange something maybe for a Saturday? Or even a weekday afternoon, however it would be where the opportunity exists for all of us to be there.
Yeah.
How many days' notice, Megan, will we need to?
48 hours, right?
48 hours, okay. We'll work on that tomorrow.
Fine.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
thi- I
if
think- I
you
think
want
that's
a
a-
specific
that's-
day to it. Friday
no.
afternoons would work for me.
Anything's good for me.
Monday
No,
afternoons would work for me, Saturday mornings, Sunday.
yeah.
would work.
Why-
I don't
Pretty
know.
much, I'll make anything work.
Why don't we get 1 or 2 people to take a couple of cracks going through things to help tee it up so that if we do get together, that we have a productive meeting and we're focused in on
Okay.
some targets.
Yeah.
But again, I think we're all on the same page. We
Yep.
want to get it as low as possible. We're taxpayers too. And we want to continue the record that has existed for quite some time now. The average, Scott, I think you calculated it last year, the average for 15 years is about 1.6%, well below the 2% cap. I know you like to play with that number, but the 1.6% we're referring to is the actual increase
Yeah.
year on year.
Absolutely.
For the-
And
for that period.
I'm a big advocate, by the way, for actual tax increase. I don't take the position of hiding behind tax rates and assessment, playing around with
Cap
that.
banks.
The cap banks, you're right, they're not, it's not cash. It's allowing you to either raise more in taxes or raise more in appropriations.
That's
So
exactly right.
raise expenses or raise taxes. Those are what the banks are for. We do not take advantage of those situations. They're there for that rainy day, if you will. I can't even say this. If we have a worldwide pandemic or something like that, but we didn't even use it during that time period. So, that they're there for purposes of those very unusual circumstances. But we do not practice on taking advantage of those situations.
Look, I mean, everything's gotten more expensive. Anybody who goes to the supermarket has seen it. I mean, it's just absolutely distressing how much the cost of things going up, but we have to run our house here too.
I'm only laughing because I read on Facebook that chicken shish kebabs cost $15 or $20 at the street fair. That is absolutely not true. I bought a shish kebab for $8, and it was very good. So I don't know where that rumor started, but that was not true.
I think you're
All
reading
right,
too much Facebook.
Any other comments? No? So we have old, new business? Any old, new? No. Announcements. Megan, you didn't give me anything, did you?
The Boy Scout flower sale, May
Oh,
4th and
that-
5th.
It
That's
starts,
Scott's gonna take care
yes,
of.
yes.
Friday.
It starts Friday the 3rd in the evening, as soon as they unload the trucks. Swarms of customers descend upon them. And then it continues all day Sunday through, I'm sorry, all day Saturday the 4th through Sunday morning.
Usually sell out, don't you?
They usually sell out through April, at Valley Mall.
There's the Friends of the Library Shred It Day,
That's right.
April 27th.
All right, okay, maybe, let me see if I'll use my phone. Yes, Community Shred Day, April 27th, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Right here in front of the library. Bring everything you want shredded. There's a cost
Shred it.
schedule, bag, etc.
Shred it, pal.
So have at it. I have a haircut scheduled for May 3rd. Bragger.
Nick's getting a new hat made.
The Elks
coming
Townwide
in for
Garage
a
Sale, May
sunrise.
4th. May 4th. No, come on, listen up. Elks Garage Sale is 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. right at the Elks Lodge. And,
I got another
Oh.
Elks announcement.
okay, fire
May
away.
11th, the double elimination blind draw cornhole tournament at the Elks. May 11th. I guess you could check out their Facebook, or I don't know if they have a Facebook, but contact the Elks or an Elk, and they have. When is the Sip and Shop Marketplace? Isn't that coming up at the Elks Club?
I don't know, you better.
It is. I don't know. There's a sign out there. If you drive by, take a look at it. If you stop at the light.
And you have at least 2 Elks up here. Scott Lavender and I are Elks, so you can ask us. And hopefully we're not in trouble with anybody, but today is the Administrative Professionals Day. So happy Administrative Professional.
Oh, there's one more from 12 Baskets. As you know, they still need non-perishable food items, but as I announced a couple weeks ago, they're still in need of cleaning supplies. Dish detergent, spray cleaners, floor cleaners, sponges, bleach, that kind of thing. And they'll also accept toiletries too. So obviously the unused toiletries, soaps, toothbrushes, things like that. Thank you.
Beautiful. And that's it? Okay. The meeting is now open to the public. Remarks and statements pertaining to any matter. Comments and remarks will be strictly limited to 3 minutes, and that, of course, everybody knows I never hold anybody to 3 minutes, but please be respectful of your other residents that may or may not want to speak. All right. What is your name, Mr. Giannakis?
That's pretty good. Gary Giannakis. I'm here as the president of the Chamber of Commerce today. And thanks for picking up the topic that everything's costing more. And I'm here for 2 things on the agenda. And there might not be statements, there might be questions, but I'm trying to get a little clarification on the ordinances that you guys just, I don't know if you tentatively approved them, you read them, or we kind of read them. But the one about the special events ordinance that's here, and I think I saw a previous draft of this, or maybe it was the previous version. There wasn't everything kind of crossed out. So is the ordinance now with these items crossed out, like they're on the agenda?
The crossed out is the current ordinance, things that are being deleted.
Being deleted?
Those things underlined are new.
Okay. So can I ask for clarification on it?
Sure.
Underlined stuff is new, right? So we're the sponsor of the street fair with the shish kebab that you got, and I know that you guys were there. I saw you walking around, and I hope you enjoyed yourselves. And there's 2 things. I don't know that I even have to look at it. There's 2 things in it. One of them is who's responsible. The sponsor would be responsible for the police cost of the police department supporting the event, right?
There's no change to that section at all. That's the same as the current ordinance.
Okay, so I'm not completely familiar with the current ordinance, but they're responsible if certain things don't happen, right? Or
That's correct.
Okay. And
If the proceeds aren't donated to a township civic organization.
right, and our secretary kind of was emailing you and Guy, I believe, were on the email. I'm just still trying to, like, in person, get the clarification on that. So if the Chamber of Commerce sponsors the event, and we're, I don't know if we're a charitable,
You qualify.
we qualify.
Yes.
We're not a
There'll be no change
501(c), we're a 501(c) or
Which
whatever.
I added to the ordinance.
Okay.
It
So-
used to just have 501c3.
So we like to give the proceeds to, the Boy Scouts or to the fire department or the police department or another organization, but we do also have costs from it. But I guess what I'm trying to understand is, and not to I don't want this to sound the wrong way, but we could also donate it to ourselves.
Correct,
Okay, so that's clear.
yes.
Okay. And then, I think that's kind of rolled up into two questions. There was one about the police department, whether or not we'd be responsible for the cost of that, because that's, we'd have to kind of factor that into things.
But only if you don't make the corresponding donation.
Right, they're tied to each other. Okay, that's it. They seem like separate things. So if we're donating, whether to ourselves or to one of these other organizations, then we're good. And we have to have an accounting for it, right?
Correct. And it's somewhat misleading, Gary, because that section's underlined, but it's only because it was moved.
Okay,
There were no substantive changes to it.
okay. So thanks for clearing that up. And then with respect to, you guys were talking about inflation and everything like that's happening, and there's some food truck ordinance stuff in here. And I think that's, I understand why that's come about. But for the businesses in town, I want to understand the fire ordinances or the schedule of these fees for uniform fire code fees. There's type 1, $54, doesn't seem too bad. There's also type 1 annual, and I want to know the distinction and how those might affect businesses in town.
I think it's to their benefit, Megan, correct me if I'm wrong, because it'll allow businesses not to have to come in each time.
So this is for the food trucks.
Right.
They're
Well-
the type 1, so they're doing an annual fee as opposed to one-time fee.
So it'll save them having to come back every time.
Correct.
So
To the health.
to clarify,
or the fire.
if a food truck came in once,
They
They'd
could
have to
pay
pay
the
$54, right?
Correct.
but if the same food truck came in twice, they'd have to decide whether or not to pay 500 or 108.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
Okay. So it's up to them whether or not it's better to pay 500 or 54.
Exactly.
But
Depends on
and
how many
I'm not
trucks.
saying that mobile food trucks should not have any fee, because the brick and mortars, our businesses in town have a fee. So I just wanted to get that kind of clarification.
Yeah, it's up to them. It depends on how many times they're going to be in town.
Sure. Yeah, I get it. Okay. All right. Thanks for clearing things up.
Sure.
Thank you, Gary.
Thanks, Gary.
Okay.
And thank you again for the street fair. And thank your entire chamber.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So, my name is Manish Vanjani, and I'm here to bring an issue that I've been discussing with Al Gallo and Randy for quite some time now.
Would you mind terribly just stating, I know if you've been discussing it, what is your address?
73 Hillside Drive.
Thank you.
I'll just read what I've written. That's okay? So, today I'm here to bring to your attention the matter concerning the condition of Hillside Drive. As per my knowledge, that's the only street in Gillette that has not been paved ever. This neglect has led to various issues, including loose gravel surface that poses a safety hazard to residents, including children, water accumulation problem, and frequent potholes due to heavy traffic. Few months ago, I submitted a letter petition to Al Gallo and Randy expressing residents' concerns. However, the response so far has been inadequate as per the residents, with temporary measures such as adding more gravel to fill potholes. Unfortunately, this approach intensifies safety concerns rather than addressing them. Both myself and another resident, Janet from 38 Hillside Drive, have experienced slip and falls due to this loose gravel surface, especially during inclement weather. It's essential to emphasize that the residents have been dutifully paying the taxes and they rightfully expect basic infrastructure maintenance. Our request is not for extravagant upgrades, rather it's for a properly paved street that ensures the safety of all residents. Additionally, the Hillside Drive is part of a school bus route, further underscoring the importance of addressing this issue from children's safety perspective. I asked the committee to prioritize this paving issue. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. I know where it is, but I'm not overly familiar with it. I don't know if we're prepared to have a proper conversation should be with Randy. Randy, could you comment on the road?
Yeah, it is a undersized road that's not of normal width within the township as other roads are. I had a conversation with the engineer today about it. I will be taking a look at it and seeing if we could make any recommendations.
Great.
How many
Thanks for bringing it to our attention.
How many
Thank you.
residents live on Hillside? Do we know?
I think there's about,
About five homes on Hillside?
yeah,
5, 6, yeah.
yeah, 5 or 6
We
homes.
signed the letter requesting for the payment, but one.
And Al, do we plow it? And was it ever paved? It's gravel.
Right.
Is there a reason why it was never paved?
Is it a private road?
That's what I was wondering. Is it a private road or what?
No, it's not a private road. There are some challenges to that road. A lot of challenges, actually, to that road.
Such as?
Drainage, width, the slopes going off the road, each side of the road. So I have the engineer, like I said, looking into it and looking
Okay.
at possible, what are our alternatives, what can we do?
Great.
Okay, and, yeah, sure.
Even if it's not paved, drainage is still an issue. Whenever it rains, there's a water problem. Some part of the street has been turned into a trench by the water force, so it's an inconvenience to everyone.
And in wintertime, does water pool in certain sections and freeze? Yeah, unfortunately, there are several roads in Long Hill that we've looked at in the past. All right, so to be fair, Randy, you're working with the engineer, Mr. Booch.
This was Hillside, you said?
Yeah, Hillside Drive.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other member of the public who is present in the courtroom? Seeing none. Megan, at home.
Anybody on Zoom would like to make a public comment, please raise your hand now. Colin McDonough would like to speak.
Hello, how you guys doing?
Good, how are
Good
you?
evening.
Good, good. Yeah, so Colin McDonough here of the lovely Oak Flower Brewing Company and also Birchwood Drive if you want to come by my house. So the one comment I just wanted to make just to kind of push a little further on what Gary just touched on is just around that annual fire permit. I know the long string of comments that Guy referenced before with people complaining about food trucks and pricing and everything. I know we may have caused a lot of the headaches around food trucks recently, so thank you guys for working on all that stuff. But yeah, just in the continued effort to stay competitive with this kind of ever-changing landscape of craft breweries and food trucks and all that, I just want to comment that I think the annual fire permit fee, as much as that is convenient, is significantly higher than what I've seen in other neighboring towns. So, I mean, through the Brewers Guild and through all sorts of other industry connections, we're always talking about food trucks and how to manage these things. And I know, just off the top of my head, I know Morris Plains in particular, they have a 6-month permit that is $54. So we're a little over $100 for them to have an annual permit. So it's just this constant struggle to work with the food trucks, encourage them to come here, convince them that it's a worthwhile trip, and to kind of continue having, different food trucks, different options. I know people in town, you guys all know, folks come in from all over town just for the food trucks. They don't really even come in the brewery half the time, which I'm totally fine with as long as there's that, activity there in downtown Millington. But I can tell you it's going to be tricky going forward if I then kind of have to lay on them that it's a pretty significant annual fee. I mean, I do know, before anybody says, that they are paying the $54 each time right now, and that has been a constant battle in and of itself. So, yeah, just wanted to chime in with that.
Thank you, Colin. So there are two issues, right? One's the fire, the annual fire permit fee, and the other one is the per use for the food truck permit. Did
I wouldn't say the per use for the food truck permit is a huge issue. I think that's probably fine, and that's
Okay.
what I expected. It's mainly that 500 for the annual permit.
And Colin, thank you. I'll be honest with you, I didn't really take a look at that or focus on it because it was presented to us, I believe, by the fire official.
Yes.
So thank you for bringing it to our attention. And if in fact it differs greatly from other towns, I think we can review it. We don't have to approve what is recommended.
That's correct.
So, Colin, thank you for bringing it to our attention. We'll take a peek at that. If it is, exceptional relative to other towns, I'm sure we will address it.
I have a question. How many times on average does one, each food truck, park there?
It depends on the food truck. We had tried to get it so that we would have folks, coming by once a month or so. They'll save $100 over the course of the year going from the single day thing to going to the annual permit. But I wouldn't say, honestly, we try to discourage folks from coming more than once a month just to have that continued variety for folks in town.
Understood. And it hopefully would be more convenient to just have to do one, apply one time rather than it apply 12 individual times. But thank you for your comment. I definitely wanted to, because if you said they come once a week, then I would think, well, all right, well, $500 is a considerable savings compared to, $54 a week.
That's exactly
However,
what Jack was saying,
when you're saying they only, on average, come once a month, it's definitely something to think about, so thank you.
I have a question for Jack. So Jack, if we had a company, this is a theoretical question, if there was a company that had food trucks, would they have to license each truck, or would you license the company?
Each truck.
Okay.
But,
So there's no such thing as sort of like a site license for a food truck company?
correct. It's each truck. It's a separate, especially for fire and for
Right.
health.
So part of what caused the
but-
problem here is if you want variety, each variety needs to be licensed.
Right. My question is, I assume the fire inspector only inspects the food truck once a year, just like
No.
every time they come?
It's the statute leaves it up to the fire marshal, but obviously if the fire marshal doesn't have any experience with the person, they're gonna come out each time. The whole intent of the fees are to cover, their expense. At a recent fire marshal's meeting, the state strongly emphasized and recommended that they be inspected in place. So what does that mean? On 6 o'clock on a Friday night,
While they're
the
there.
fire marshal has to go out and inspect it at the place of location, which is not during normal business hours. So, we'll take a look at it and compare, see what other towns are charging. But, the idea of these fees are just to cover costs. This is, obviously, the town's not making a fortune off these fees. It's an idea that, that the normal taxpayer shouldn't be covering the costs of them going out to inspect
Right.
the food trucks, likewise with the Board of Health. These fees are to cover the costs incurred for those inspections.
So let's say a food truck came once a month. Would that require a once a month inspection, or is that what you're saying? It would have, they would,
It can very well, yes.
is that,
'Cause that's
is
not
that by
true.
law
That's
or
not
ordinance?
true.
Do we have to do that?
Mortar facility.
Fire-
It's up to the fire marshal.
Yeah, fire marshal, fire prevention, most of those regulations are statute that you as a committee don't have the luxury of ignoring.
That's right.
So,
But it's in his discretion.
right,
He does not have
the,
to.
the fire marshal does have some discretion, okay? But like I said, if you come every week and he inspects you 2 or 3 times and he's comfortable with you, they may do spot inspections, okay? But, it doesn't need to be done every single time. But if you're coming once a month,
Right.
you're gonna get inspected every time. I can almost guarantee you that.
All right. so
Or at least
Randy-
6 times, so we have to take that
Ra-
cost
Randy-
into
Randy's
account.
gonna look and see
Yeah.
what other towns.
I could pay
do. Yeah.
$54.
Right. Thank you.
All right, Colin, I apologize. Are you still there?
Oh, I'm still here.
All right. For the time being, have we answered your question?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Colin. Megan?
CA would like to speak?
Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Charles Arenowitz, Heritage Road, Millington. Based upon your responsiveness or lack thereof to my questions at the last Township Committee meeting on the Everly property and the cultural transformation, I'll not be asking any questions tonight. I've been advised to ask any of my future questions through friends that are subscribers to Facebook, which I am not a participant and never will be. The advice is that I might get a better response to my questions through this active social media mechanism. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Megan?
Danny would like to speak?
Danny?
Danny?
Hi,
Danny, would you mind stating your full name and address, please?
sure. It's Danielle Rasepli. I actually live in Bernardsville, but I'm one of the owners of Oak Flower Brewing.
Sure.
Okay. We wanted to ask in letter D, it says about vehicles parked on the street shall be subject to all applicable traffic regulations, including but not limited to time restrictions. And in front of the brewery, there's definitely like a restricted time spot.
Yeah, but doesn't it
We
end at a
discussed
certain
that,
hour?
too.
Doesn't it end at 7 o'clock or something? I forget.
No, I believe it's.
We discussed that, and I wanted to have it, I wanted it to be longer, and I thought that Mr. Kaufman said that he was good with it being restricted, if I remember.
But I'd have to look at the ordinance, but I think it ends at 7
It
PM.
ends at a certain time. We discussed it, I remember.
Yeah, that was my recollection.
So you have 1 hour.
Because I had that
Yeah.
concern
And then it
too,
goes-
like,
Unlimited.
is it long enough for customers to go in there and spend some time in there? I remember it, I remember that.
I thought it was their recommendation to do
That-
2 hours.
that's
'Cause
that's
I
the
think
way I
you guys
recall
also
it. It was,
proposed 3 hours.
I wanted to do longer.
Yes, that's correct, Rick's right.
That's right. So there'd be turnover.
But if it expires at 7 PM.
I don't believe it does.
I don't think it does.
Oh, okay.
I could have sworn it did.
I thought that was my recollection of when we discussed it. Let me look.
So, and hopefully, Danny, you go by Danny, right?
Yes.
So Danny, your concern is that the length of time is not
For the food truck.
defined?
No, for the food
Right.
truck.
With the food truck, if they're saying it's limited to an hour, that's an issue when the food trucks are there for usually 3 to 4 hours.
I thought 2 hours was a little short for customers too, to be honest.
That was, these are bifurcated. I don't get to use that word often. You know, a customer who's in there having a beer or two is different than the food truck. The food truck, I thought, because we had so many iterations of that ordinance, I thought we
I thought it
didn't
affected-
define that time limit, the food truck.
I thought it
And if
affected.
not, Danny,
We-
we need to.
We did not define the amount of time a food truck can stay there. However, they do have to abide by all laws
Gotcha.
of the roads. So in that area, there is 2-hour
And
parking.
first come, first
So
served.
we can't, we as the administrative staff aren't giving out tickets. We have no power to do that. Okay, so that would be an issue of whether they spend longer times there or not.
You know what,
Now,
David? Yeah.
we had a meeting, Megan and I had a meeting with the police administration, and there are some recommendations that we're gonna come forward to provide the committee to take care, that would resolve this problem.
Great.
Okay.
All right, so Danny,
Okay.
thank you for bringing that back to our attention, because I know we spent considerable time on this ordinance, and it's odd we would have missed this. But we will revisit it, and we will in fact fix it.
Thank you.
But
Thank you.
we should probably amend the traffic ordinance
Correct, that's
as
what,
opposed to
that's
the
what,
food truck ordinance.
that's what we were talking about
Right.
doing.
All right, Danny, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Any other member of the public at home?
Or if you're not at home and you're on the internet,
Yes.
maybe you're at Oak Flower.
It's got a point.
If anybody else on Zoom would like to make a public comment, please raise your hand now. I don't see anyone, Mayor.
All right, so I will look for a motion to
You
go
made it.
into executive with no further action.
That's right.
Second.
Everybody, have a great evening, and thank you for attending, and for those at home for watching.